must float. You need to show that you are capable of creating different types of sentences. I'm not doing a rap here. I'm literally trying to tell you that you need to be flexible. So if this is the first time that you are struggling with task 1 for academic module at IELTS in the writing skill, it's okay. You're not alone. Many other candidates have the same struggle, especially when they start working on reports. And here's a sample. Welcome to IELTS Juice. We're going to assess the sample together and we're going to find out which areas we need to improve on. So, without further ado, let's begin. The rubric says, the chart below shows the percentage of 5 North American lakes covered in ice during 2 20-year periods. So we're talking about 5 lakes and the percentage that the surface percentage, or the percentage of the surface that is covered in ice, and we have 2 time periods, but they are not single years. Each time period or each time frame has 20 years in it. That's important information. Plus, always, IELTS gives us a very vague or unclear word for the visual. They usually say the graph below, the chart below. And they intentionally want us, IELTS intentionally wants us to mention what type of diagram or graph it is. As I can see here, it's a bar chart. And we are going to say, we need to reflect on it. We need to show IELTS that we understand what type of graph it is. So make sure you also include that in your response. Now let me look at the entirety of this visual. So we have the average Great Lakes ice cover from the 2 time frames I mentioned, and those are 1973 to 1992, and then the following year, 1993 to 2012. And the number is in average given of these 20 years here and the other 20 years here. On the y-axis, or on the vertical axis, we have the percentage of ice cover. So these numbers are percentages. So it's 20%. And also the solid color means it's from the first period. These striped one represents the second time frame. And on the x-axis, or on the horizontal axis, we have the names of these lakes: Lake Superior, Lake Michigan, Lake Huron, Lake Erie, and Lake Ontario. Okay, beautiful. So I have all the information I need. When you look at the visual, before you go ahead and start writing, make sure to spot some significant points. For instance, in all cases, I see that the first year is higher than the second year, the second time frame. So the first year is this, but the second year is lower. That is pretty much it's very clear in the entire bar chart. The second thing is the amount of change. Ontario went through the least amount of change, while Lake Superior had a dramatic change. That's another significant point. You can come up with other significant points. You can say, yeah, I'm going to categorize Lake Superior, Lake Huron, Lake Erie as the ones covered with more than 25% ice in the first time frame. And then what happened to them? Well, and the other 2 are less than 15%, or between 5 to 15%, and that can be another category. It doesn't really matter, but we basically need to see the logic, and it's best to categorize them, because when you break down the information, it is more measurable and it is more controllable for you. We can control the data. We don't need to cover or look at the entire data every time we want to write a sentence. Okay, that was a lengthy introduction, especially for those who wish to start working on reports. Now let's move on to the response. So this is the candidate's response. All right. The chart showed what has happened to 5 lakes covered in ice in North America. Okay, everything looks okay, right? Except what has happened? It's present perfect tense. Do we know anything about any information from, for instance, the year 2012 until now? Do we have any information related to that? We use present perfect. The name has a meaning. When you say it is present perfect, it has something to do with present. What is the present feature of this? We don't have any information. We don't know if Lake Ontario has ice cover or not in year 2013, 2014, 2020. We don't know. We don't have that information. How can we claim that it shows what has happened? It's something that happened in the past and finished in the past. The data we had is only limited to 2 20-year time periods. Done. We don't have any other information other than that. This grammar looks clear, looks okay. Technically it's fine, but it's wrong, and it's giving me factual mistake. So it is now reducing the score in both columns, in the task achievement part, in the task achievement column, and in grammatical range and accuracy, just by a simple technical mistake. So one thing to be very, very careful about. When we are going to write our report, make sure you know which grammatical tense we need to use. And in this case, in the majority of our sentences, we need to use past tense. Okay, now let's move on. If we take a look at Superior Lake, it's called Lake Superior, but it's fine. It's fine because not many people know that it is not called like this. You don't say Superior Lake, it's Lake Superior. But this is fine. That's not a mistake. It's okay. You needed to know some geographic information. Your knowledge in geography should be high, but that's not related to IELTS. So nobody expects you to write it correctly, and it's fine, really. We see that in the year I don't need of 1993 to 1992. Is it just 1 year in the year, or in the years 1993 to 1992? And the comma, the ice cover was okay, past simple, at 26%, but in the years 1992 to 2012, comma, the percentage of ice cover decreased by 10. Can we fact check that? Okay. Lake Superior was at 26% and then went down 10% to 16. No, it didn't even go to 15. It went to 14. Another factual mistake. This is really factual mistake, and it's a real thing at IELTS. We are reporting the data factually inaccurately. That is wrong. Now the score for our task achievement is going even further down. The percentage of IELTS covered decreased by 10, no, by 12, and approximately by 12, because we don't have the exact data here. It feels like this is 14. It may be 13.7. Who knows? We don't have an accompanying table that comes with this chart. We just have to make do with whatever we have. Lake Michigan, again, no, that's not a mistake. Lake Michigan was 14% covered. Was 14% covered. That's a weird way of reporting. It's a weird structure. In ICE, in the years, I don't need of 1993 to 1973 to 1992. Why do we keep repeating this structure? We can say in the former period, in the latter period, in the first period, in the second period, in the first 20-year period, or in the first 20 years of the survey, in the second 20 years of the survey. We can play around. Why do we have to mechanically say, and that mechanic thing is a real thing. In the coherence cohesion, we can report our data mechanically, and we might get a 6 for that, or even lower. So be careful. We don't want to create a report-making machine that works mechanically. We need to play with our sentences. We need to be flexible. We need to come up with different and beautiful structures and sentences, and your sentences must go in different places. I mean, the elements of the sentences must float. You need to show that you are capable of creating different types of sentences. I'm not doing a rap here. I'm literally trying to tell you that you need to be flexible with your sentences and in your report. So, but went to 9% in the year 9, again, say a similar structure. Oh gosh. In the second time period given, something like that. Lake Huron, I'm beginning to feel why two things. One, why did we mention Lake Superior in the introduction? I am not a fan of giving very detailed information in the introduction. This is detailed information. When you come up with numbers, that is rather detailed for the report. So I preferred something like Lake Superior was the one that had the most significant change in the survey. And that sentence would be enough. You see, in my sentence, there are no numbers. It's just, and it's correct. I just looked at it and I told you, look, this is the most significant change in the entire survey. Done. And that can be a sentence and goes into your introduction. Then if you want to talk about numbers, details, everything that you wish to report, everything can, all those elements can come into the paragraph, into the body paragraph. I don't see those here. Lake Michigan was 14, and I know the second thing, I almost forgot the second point. The second point is, I don't know why I'm reading this paragraph. What I should expect to see in this paragraph, I don't know. I don't have information. I'm just reading. You know, it's a surprise. We are in for a surprise. Let's see. After Lake Michigan, we're talking about Lake Huron. And we actually started from Superior, then Michigan, then Huron, then Erie, and then Ontario. So it's like we're going all the way from the left-hand side to the right-hand side. That's a very simple approach. There isn't much value. There is value, but not very interesting. Lake Huron was 20% covered in ice in 1973-1992 and decreased to 21%. Kill me with this repetition in the following period. You see, I'm just playing with words. Lake Erie, yeah, from left to right. Lake Erie in 1973 to 1992 had the most ice covering. I need a comma here at 30%. I need a comma here after percent. But in 1992 to 2012, again, decreased to 28%. Fine. This is mechanical. Look at the mechanics. Name of the lake, what it was in the first period, what happened, which is in 100% of the cases decreased, to the second period. And that is basically a sentence making machine. Lake name plus numbers for the first period plus decreased plus numbers for the second period. Next lake, same structures, same structure, same structure. Repetition, mechanical repetition, sentence after sentence after sentence. That's not good. That calls for a mechanical mistake. And lastly, Lake Ontario had the least ice covering than others. Well, this, yeah, finally a decent sentence. And it is correctly punctuated, except I don't like sentences that start with and. That's very spoken English. In written English, preferably, we don't start a sentence with and but and or so. They are not very good sentence openers or starters. It was 6% covered in ice in the people kill me, and went down to 4% in again kill me. Okay. Overall, we realized that due to global warming, pardon? Oh, how do you know? Is there global warming here? Do we see any mention of global warming? How do you know? Maybe the government of Canada and the US hired people to just break the ice. Is there any information of those two governments hiring people? Can you see any information regarding that? No. That's not our job to speculate. Speculation is not related to reports. It has no place in our reports. We're not allowed to speculate. We're not allowed to guess. We're not allowed to foresee the future and say something that might happen. That is not related to reports. So this is wrong. This sentence is definitely wrong. Although you know, I know that it is most likely the result of global warming, that doesn't affect or change anything. This is still wrong because we cannot see that in the visual. All ice covers have decreased and present perfect. Again, we don't have the information from 2012 all the way until now. We don't have that information. We cannot claim it. In the year 1970, well, if that is the case, even now that it's grammatically inaccurate because covers decreased in the years 1992 to 2012. The Earth's heat is rising as time passes and causing the ice to melt and the weather to become warmer. Totally unrelated. This is wrong. This is wrong for IELTS. This is another mistake. That's off topic. This is off topic mistake. 199 words. Let's look at the band descriptors, but I don't think we will be shocked at the score. Yeah. Irrelevant information, inaccurate information, repetitive to some extent. Yeah. Definitely 4 in task achievement. Coherence and cohesion, we We basically had, for our discourse markers, we had and but. Nothing else. I didn't pick up any referencing issues though. That's a good thing. Paragraphing is not important at this point, but still, again, the paragraphing also had some issues, but it's not important for task 1. The information, the arrangement was generally okay. The overall progression was from left to right, which is the minimum you can do. Vocabulary mistakes didn't bother me as much as the grammatical range and accuracy errors. Oh my God. Present perfect? Come on. That reduces communication. Also, we basically didn't see many grammatical structures. It's very limited. I saw one if, and that's it. The majority of sentences were simple sentences. And but do not create very interesting sentences again. They weren't even punctuated accurately. And the parts that we decided to add some variety, and it was present perfect, which wasn't welcomed because, again, that was a factual mistake. So yeah, grammar was really, really troublesome. 5. This is a 5. Make sure yours is definitely better than this. Make sure you avoid factual mistakes, off topics, mechanical errors. This was a very good sample for us to learn what mechanical sentences look like, what factual mistakes look like, and also what off-topic sentences or messages look like. And we must avoid all 3 of them. These are major, major errors for task 1 reports. On that note, make sure your representative in form of reports or essays are going to be very, very honorable, accurate representatives of your knowledge. On that note, I wish you a lovely day ahead.